Hey, welcome back to the channel. This week I get my birthday wish a little bit early and I get to take a look at some absolutely gorgeous RVs. What's even better, I get to go up in one and take a flight, getting to wrap my head around what it's going to be like to own one of these magnificent planes. Now, before we get into that, I've got some chores to do. I've got a motor on the way, it's almost here, and I'm trying to tidy up as many loose ends as I can. I still have the strip of rivets here before the wings go off into storage. Let's take a peek at what I'm able to complete this week on Ryan Flies. Alright, so calling the wing skins done is a bit disingenuous because I still have the strip of rivets here at the top that need to be hit. Unless I want to be called a liar, I've got to get that done. So why haven't they been hit yet? It's simple. I need to figure out a way to capture my hinge pins. I have long been in favor of and planned on a method where you cut some of the eyes out of the center of the hinge and you split your hinge pins in the middle and capture the ends up against your flat brace. I've had numerous people email me about this. I've had some pictures shared, and it's a very clean way of doing this. In fact, I already cut out one of the eye loops from the hinge in order to prepare for this method when I first made my flaps. But that's the problem. My positioning of that cutout was not ideal, and I think I was a bit ambitious in cutting it in the first place. You see, the gap that we create by cutting out these eye loops should be aligned between the lightning circles so that you can put a nut plate in there and screw the capture points into the flat brace. Mine wound up exactly where it shouldn't. I have this little piece of metal rod and it shows basically what one of those hinge pins would look like. It would be bent at the end and you would capture it again against the flat brace here, aligning the bent portion up between the lightning holes. With mine now sitting almost dead center on a lightning hole, the only thing that I can figure out to do would be to actually flip this 180 degrees and capture it between the lightning holes on the flap itself. It is a little less ideal, but it will work the same nonetheless. I'm going to move forward seeing if I can get this set as planned, as described here, or if I'm going to encounter yet another roadblock. Alright, for those of you who have spent the last 49 seconds fixated on a certain rivet, yes, that one, you'll be happy to know that I do go back and fix it. However, you'll be left rather unsatisfied because I don't have it on film. I apologize. Oh, come on. Here's the deal. I would be filming this in a little more detail if this is how you wanted to do your flaps. It's not. You don't want to do it this way. You want to do it similarly, I think, but you want to install the keepers on the flap hinge brace, and you want to do it before you rivet that flap hinge brace in, so you can get to the backside and you can buck some rivets in there pretty well. This whole having to use some blind rivets and attach it to the flap itself, not ideal, but it works. It works great. It's quite well hidden, and it's pretty clean on that other flap. So I guess as usual, one down, one to go. It was around the time that I was finishing up the flaps that something quite remarkable happened. I had been coordinating with a viewer who reached out, noting he was local and would love the opportunity to take me up for a flight. I'll do just about anything for stick time, so without hesitation, I was in the car headed up north, and what waited for me just outside the sleepy town of Scappoose, Oregon absolutely made my day. I'm on my way just up north, and we're going to take another RV for a spin. I couldn't be more excited about it. That was absolutely incredible. And I cannot thank that individual enough. That experience was beyond amazing. Made my day, made my week, made my month. The only problem is I think I had a little too much fun. And the only thing I can think about now is getting my plane done so that I can do that on my own. Today's lesson, not so much about building planes per se, about doing things right. See, I was really eager to get this thing up on its wheels probably about a year ago, more than that even. In doing so, I skipped over some things that I thought would be easy to come back later, and as I keep bolting things to this thing, it's gotten heavier and heavier, and I'm about to put another couple 100 pounds on the front, and it's going to get really problematic to go back and do right what I should have done in the first place. That is, I need to prime my wheel pant mounts, and I need to properly talc my tire tubes because I sort of half-assed it the first time around. And it's always been in the back of my head. It's time to bite the bullet and do this right. For those of you wondering, the talc here allows for movement between the tube and the tire without two rubber surfaces causing too much friction and gripping. This allows for better seating of the tube within the tire so that there's no pinching, but it also allows for some movement if the tire were to slip on the wheel. If the tire slipped on the wheel and the tube came with it, then this valve stem would just shear off and you'd wind up with a flat, best case scenario. The unfortunate reality of the next step is that I am going to have to prime these one at a time since I don't have a great way to get both mains off the ground at the same time. Not a way that I trust anyways. So it's going to be undoubtedly a little slower than just doing it right the first time.
Alright, it's been deburred, it's been primed, and I'm going to try to get it on. I'm going to try to move through this kind of quickly because I still have some primer in the pot and I would love to get the other one done before that cures up in there. I am aware of sort of the irony of trying to rush through something I'm only doing because I rushed through it the first time around. However, I'm taking a calculated risk here. I think I can get this back together in time. One of the ways I was able to move through this so quickly was using my primer pistol to prime this thing. I've said it before, but if you don't have a primer pistol, I don't blame you. They seem to be perpetually back ordered, but get your order in and get one. It makes priming small pieces like this so easy. The cleanup is so quick, and it's just a great way to hit one part and keep moving. Alright, this guy should be comparatively easy. That last one took me about 2 hours, which isn't too bad, but you know, it is 2 hours I wish I was spending doing anything else. Now, a few of you might be sitting at home thinking that this was all pretty silly because there's a non-zero chance that I have vastly overstated the importance of talc in these tires. However, after reading a few stories that created some fear in me, I thought it was important. What I won't overstate is the importance of that primer on at least the mains. I have a feeling that is just a spot that is a great opportunity for corrosion. I will sleep better at night. That's worth it alone. Not only did I get all of these tightened, torque sealed, and just gone over. I did the same on all the suspension parts up here off camera. Finally getting some cotter pins in those. What's next? Well, again off camera, I'm gonna have to clean this place up a bit, start to get it organized for a big transition, yet another big transition. But there are a few things that if I have some time, I'll take care of. It turns out there won't be time, but believe it or not, that's a good thing. You see, I just received tracking information for my engine. It'll be here in less than a week. Now, despite frequently playing hooky to work on airplanes and fly them, I actually do show up to work on occasion, which means I only have 2 more days left of work in the garage before I have to deal with a 400-pound crate. That really leaves 1 day of working on the plane and 1 day of reorganizing the garage, getting everything ready, and getting my wings off-site. It's equal parts apprehension and excitement. Actually, it's not. It's just pure excitement at this point. If you want to be here to watch me unbox that excitement, make sure you're subscribed. In the meantime, hit the thumbs up button, and we'll see you soon on Ryan's Flies.